World War I, often termed the Great War, was a global conflict that lasted from 1914 to 1918. To understand the result of World War I, it's crucial to set the context by exploring the factors leading to its outbreak and its immediate and long-term impacts. World War I was characterized by its unprecedented scale and magnitude, involving many of the world's great powers. It was triggered by a complex web of alliances, militarism, imperialist ambitions, and nationalism, with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria acting as the immediate catalyst. This conflict reshaped the world in numerous ways, making understanding its context vital for grasping its results. The significance of setting the context lies in recognizing how the war laid the groundwork for major geopolitical changes. The war led to the collapse of empires, including the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German empires, and drastically altered the political landscape of Europe and the Middle East. It also set the stage for the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed punitive reparations on Germany and redrew national boundaries, creating conditions that contributed to World War II. A clear example illustrating the importance of this context is the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire, which led to the creation of modern-day Turkey and several other nations in the Middle East. This redrawing of borders sowed seeds of conflict that continue to affect geopolitical relations today. Another example is the Russian Revolution of 1917, which was partly fueled by the strains of war and led to the rise of the Soviet Union, deeply influencing global politics for the remainder of the century. However, opinions about World War I's context and outcomes are varied. Some historians argue that the punitive measures against Germany were excessively harsh, fostering resentment that facilitated the rise of Adolf Hitler. Others suggest that the war's results were somewhat inevitable given the volatile mix of nationalism and competing interests in Europe. Challenges in understanding the context of World War I include differing historical interpretations and the vast complexity of its causes. Alternative viewpoints suggest that the war could have been avoided with more effective diplomacy. Yet, its influence on the main topic of world history is undeniable, as it shaped the 20th century's trajectory by impacting everything from international relations to socio-economic structures. In conclusion, setting the context of World War I is essential to fully comprehend its aftermath and enduring legacy. Its far-reaching impacts continue to resonate in contemporary global affairs, and understanding this context offers valuable insights into the results of this pivotal conflict. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more in-depth explorations of history's most significant events. The Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919, was a pivotal agreement that officially ended World War I and sought to establish a foundation for lasting peace. Drafted primarily by the Allied powers, France, Britain, the United States, and Italy, the treaty imposed significant territorial, military, and financial penalties on Germany, the principal aggressor of the conflict. Germany was forced to cede territories, drastically reduce its military capabilities, and accept full responsibility for the war, which included agreeing to pay substantial reparations to the Allied countries. The significance of the Treaty of Versailles lies in its profound impact on the political and economic landscape of post-war Europe. While it aimed to prevent future conflicts by weakening Germany, it inadvertently sowed the seeds of resentment and economic hardship. This discontent became a breeding ground for radical ideologies, significantly influencing the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party, who capitalized on German grievances to mobilize support for their expansionist agenda, eventually leading to World War II. The treaty's attempt to redraw national borders also failed to consider ethnic and cultural complexities, sparking regional tensions and conflicts that endured for decades. One real-world example illustrating the treaty's impact is the economic turmoil it inflicted on Germany due to reparations. The immense financial burden contributed to hyperinflation and economic instability during the early 1920s, eroding public confidence in the Weimar government and providing fertile ground for extremist movements. Another example is the geopolitical shifts caused by the treaty. The dismantling of empires, such as Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman, and the creation of new states led to border disputes and minority issues, complicating international relations. Opinions on the treaty are divided. Some argue that its harsh terms were necessary to prevent German militarism, while others contend that its punitive measures were too severe, ultimately destabilizing Europe. Critics like the economist John Maynard Keynes predicted the treaty's economic repercussions and its potential to incite future conflicts. Alternative viewpoints highlight the missed opportunity for a more balanced peace, suggesting that a less punitive approach could have promoted reconciliation and long-term stability. The treaty's legacy underscores the importance of addressing economic and political grievances in peace negotiations. By shaping the post-war order, the Treaty of Versailles influenced other aspects of World War I's aftermath, including the formation of the League of Nations. Despite its flaws, the treaty's attempt to promote collective security laid the groundwork for future international cooperation. The conclusion of World War I brought significant political repercussions across Europe, reshaping the continent's landscape in profound ways. This shift was marked by the collapse of several monarchies and empires, which had long dominated Europe, including Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Imperial Germany. The political fabric of Europe was dramatically altered, leading to the birth of new nations and the redrawing of national boundaries. This reshaping was primarily orchestrated through the Treaty of Versailles and other agreements, which aimed to establish a new balance of power to prevent future conflicts. However, these treaties often sowed seeds of discontent and nationalistic fervor, as seen in the harsh reparations imposed on Germany. The significance of these political changes was immense, as they laid the groundwork for a new order in Europe. The rise of new nation-states aimed to provide self-determination, yet the policies implemented often failed to consider ethnic and cultural complexities, leading to tensions and instability. The League of Nations was established as part of this new order, representing the first major attempt at a global organization intended to maintain peace. Nonetheless, the League's lack of enforcement power and the absence of key global players like the United States hampered its effectiveness. Two notable examples of these repercussions include the creation of the Weimar Republic in Germany, which was a direct result of the abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II. This new democratic framework was fraught with economic and political challenges, contributing to the eventual rise of Nazism. Another example is the dissolution of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, leading to the birth of several independent nations, such as Czechoslovakia and Hungary. While this fragmentation aimed to give ethnic groups self-governance, it also led to geopolitical tensions that persisted into the latter half of the 20th century. These transformations were not without controversy. Critiques of the post-war treaties often focus on their punitive nature, particularly towards Germany, and the unrealistic expectations placed upon new, fragile democracies. The resultant political instability is frequently cited as a precursor to World War II. Additionally, debates continue over the efficacy of the League of Nations, with many historians arguing that its weaknesses were indicative of a broader failure to address the root causes of international conflict. The political repercussions of World War I deeply influenced other aspects of the post-war world, including economic conditions and societal changes. As Europe grappled with the aftermath, these political shifts also played a crucial role in shaping the interwar period, setting the stage for future global conflicts. The economic consequences of World War I were profound and far-reaching, ultimately contributing to a global depression that reshaped the world. The war led to massive economic disruptions, with countries incurring significant debts to finance military operations. This resulted in widespread inflation and a destabilization of international economies. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh reparations on Germany, intending to make the nation compensate for the war's damages. However, these reparations crippled Germany's economy, causing hyperinflation and unemployment, which fueled political instability and resentment. Many historians argue that these economic strains laid the groundwork for the Great Depression of the 1930s. The significance of these economic consequences cannot be overstated. They highlight how the fiscal burdens and punitive reparations can exacerbate national grievances and economic instability, creating fertile ground for future conflicts. The economic turmoil post-World War I directly influenced the rise of extremist political movements, including the Nazi Party in Germany, which capitalized on economic hardship to gain support, ultimately leading to World War II. Two specific examples illustrate these economic consequences. Firstly, the hyperinflation crisis in Weimar Germany was so severe that the currency became virtually worthless, leading to a barter economy where ordinary goods were used instead of money. This financial chaos resulted in widespread poverty and social unrest. Secondly, the war debts and economic dislocation in Europe created a domino effect that contributed to the global Great Depression. Countries like Britain and France, deeply in debt, struggled to recover economically, leading to decreased international trade and investment. Opinions supporting this idea often emphasize that economic instability following World War I was a key factor in the rise of authoritarian regimes. Economic hardship left people desperate for change, making them more susceptible to radical ideologies. However, some economists argue that other structural factors also contributed to the Great Depression, including poor economic policies and lack of international cooperation. One of the challenges associated with this concept is the debate over the fairness and effectiveness of the reparations imposed on Germany. While intended to prevent future wars, they instead fueled anger and economic hardship. Others argue that focusing solely on reparations oversimplifies the causes of global economic turmoil. In conclusion, the economic consequences and global depression following World War I are intricately connected to the broader implications of the war's aftermath. They illustrate how unresolved economic and political issues can have lasting effects, influencing subsequent geopolitical events and shaping the course of history. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more insightful content on historical events and their enduring impact.